जय भीम, जय भारत, नमो बुद्धाय। एक और गीत बाबा साहब के सभी सच्चे अम्बेडकर साथियों के नाम, जिसके गायक मास्टर कुलदीप सरोया व लेखक नरेश खोकर जी। सुधर लो रे ना पाछे पछताना से, भाई सुधर लो रे ना पाछे पछताना से। मिलके सारे भारत ने सोने की चिड़िया बनाना से, मिलके सारे भारत ने सोने की चिड़िया बनाना से। शिक्षा के क्षेत्र में तुम उन्नति घनी करो, मिलके सारे भाई तुम भीम मिशन में चलो। मिलके सारे भाई तुम भीम मिशन में चलो। कदे भूल न जाइयो रे, कदे भूल न जाइयो रे उस मंजिल को पाना से। मिलके सारे भारत ने सोने की चिड़िया बनाना से।
So this year we're celebrating the 125th anniversary of the birth of Dr. Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar, Baba Saheb. And we're also celebrating in October his conversion 60 years ago. So two very important anniversaries. Why are we celebrating these in the Triratna Buddhist community? That's what I want to address now. We could say there are four main reasons why we are celebrating Dr. Ambedkar's life. First of all, because he was a great man by any standards. For instance, in general international public life, the achievement of Martin Luther King, Dr. Martin Luther King, is highly revered, as is the achievement of Nelson Mandela, both of whom conducted a moral revolution against injustice and prejudice, and who stand out both for their achievement in combating the prejudices they faced and for the means with which they did it, and the extraordinary generosity and magnanimity with which they did it. And it seems to me that Dr. Ambedkar stands with them, and in certain sense even beyond them. He achieved the same sort of revolution, although of course it is yet to be completed because the issues he was facing are far greater. But he did it on the same basis. He did it on a moral basis, not a violent one. He could easily have created a bloodbath in India, but he chose not to, and quite deliberately so, and chose to combat the age-old oppression of caste by peaceful and moral means. And he did it with extraordinary fortitude, consistency, and courage. So I think he's to be celebrated as much, if not more, than these other great reformers of the 20th century. And it's one of the sad things about the modern situation that Dr. Ambedkar is so little known, because he's been eclipsed by those who fought the independence struggle in India, and especially by the charismatic figure of Mr. Gandhi. And although, of course, the ending of colonial domination is a highly laudable achievement, if there's not justice within the country, then even the independence of the country is not complete. And Dr. Ambedkar made this point very forcibly, that there's no point in just exchanging one set of oppressors for another. So I believe that Dr. Ambedkar needs to be much better known, and surely it's one of our responsibilities to make sure that happens. Secondly, of course, we have a very deep connection with Dr. Ambedkar. He was personally known to our own beloved teacher and founder, Urgyen Sangharakshita Bhante, who met with him on 3 important occasions and who felt that he was shouldering something of the burden of the movement that Dr. Ambedkar had started, and who worked as much as he could and as long as he could to continue the process that Dr. Ambedkar had begun. And then, of course, so many of our order members, something like 1/3 of our order members, and probably even more than that proportionally, of our mitras and friends are in India and are directly the followers of Dr. Ambedkar. And they see Dr. Ambedkar as their great leader and their liberator. And they still feel for him a tremendous gratitude and reverence and respect, which is entirely justified. He liberated their ancestors. Just 2 or 3 generations before, they were living in slavery. Now, even though there's still a lot of oppression, they are really living a quite different sort of life because of Dr. Ambedkar. So if we are to feel our solidarity with them, if we're to feel part of a single movement with them, we need to understand their feeling for Dr. Ambedkar, and insofar as we can, coming from our different background, to share that. I personally never experienced anything like the oppressions of caste. In fact, I've had a comfortable and even privileged life. But I certainly acknowledge Dr. Ambedkar as one of my great heroes and inspirations, and I think the whole movement could do that. And it would help us to draw much closer to our Indian brothers and sisters, and would be a great source of inspiration to us. Thirdly, of course, he's a Buddhist. He became a Buddhist, and he revived Buddhism in India. Although there had been stuttering attempts to revive Buddhism since the end of the 19th century, and especially in the 20th century, and there are other great figures in that revival movement, Dr. Ambedkar was the one who really substantially relaunched Buddhism in India after almost 1,000 years of its almost complete disappearance. So that surely is an event to be celebrated. The Buddha was Indian. Buddhism flourished in India. Most of the teachings of later Buddhism that we know, from Mahayana to Vajrayana and so forth, all originated in India in the great monastic universities. The disappearance of Buddhism from India is a great tragedy and shame, you could say, of the Buddhist world. So the man who relaunched the recognition of Buddhism in India is very much to be lauded and applauded. And so, of course, we recognize him from that point of view. Fourthly, as Buddhists, we have a great deal to learn from Dr. Ambedkar, because he wasn't merely the leader of the untouchables. He had a vision for the whole of Indian society, and it was a Buddhist vision. He understood very deeply the connection between a free and just society and a moral culture that is widespread throughout society. Law, police, etc. can only control the criminal minority. They cannot control the whole of society. If the whole of society is corrupt, then police and law will be corrupt too. So if there is to be a genuinely free and just society, if there's to be a true democracy, it needs to be founded on moral principles. And those moral principles need to have a deep foundation in an understanding of the meaning and purpose of existence. And Dr. Ambedkar argued that that moral foundation for the whole of society is best found in the Buddha Dhamma. He described the morality that needs to underlie the whole of society as needing to be sacred and universal. Universal, what he clearly meant, was not merely bound by local cultural conventions. By sacred, he meant founded in something about the ultimate meaning and purpose of life. In other words, in Dhamma. And he said that Shila, morality, is Dhamma, Dhamma is Shila. So he regarded the Buddha Dhamma as the foundation for a true democracy, a democracy which he described in terms of liberty, equality, fraternity, which he said he derived not from the French Revolution, but from my master, the Buddha, in his words. So I think this is a very important point for us as Buddhists to imbibe and therefore to celebrate. We need to recognize that Buddhism can be the true basis for a just world. I think this is especially important at the moment. We're very aware that liberal democracy of the kind that we in Britain and other Western countries have become used to is very fragile. It's up against two major forces in the world, the force of fundamentalism, not merely of Muslim fundamentalism, but Christian fundamentalism too, we're seeing even now. It's up against those forces which are very convinced, very passionate, and it's up against the forces of authoritarian populist nationalism, which we see in many parts of the world, rising, often combined with a kind of fundamentalism, albeit somewhat cynically used, but is rising very strongly. And liberal democracy is terribly weak in the face of these, because as mere liberalism, it has no solid foundation. So the Buddha Dhamma gives democracy a foundation in morality, and it gives morality a foundation in the nature of existence. And Dr. Ambedkar pointed out in a startlingly clear way this connection between freedom, justice, equality, and fraternity, mutual love, mutual recognition, mutual fellowship, mutual maitri, metta. He founded all that in the Buddha Dhamma. So we as Buddhists need to recognize the power of what we've got, which we've seen exemplified in Dr. Ambedkar's own teaching, but also in his practice. So I hope that we will really celebrate Dr. Ambedkar's 125th birth anniversary and his 60th conversion anniversary with full spirit, and that we will embrace his message very deeply. It's a message that the whole world needs very urgently.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Jai Bhim.